Okay, Joe fans, it's time for us to speculate. If the Haslab for 2025 is going to be the snowcat, what could the tiers be? And so what I'm going to do is kind of give my idea by going through some of the winter or snow-based characters that we've seen either in G.I. Joe comics or in the toys, the original line that we all loved when we were kids in the 80s, these kind of things. So I think it's a good idea to kind of be realistic what we hope we get, but what we're probably going to get, because people like Iceberg here, I mean, come on, Iceberg is too big of a character. Hey, can we get a deluxe Iceberg with a jetpack? Just saying, if you know, you know. But I want to be realistic, because Hasbro's got to make money. We want to be happy, but let's think about what realistically could be there. And so what I'm doing is basing this off of some of Emily's hints and also what I think could happen out there. So when we look at it in terms of the figures that they have, look, there's some things that aren't going to happen. Look, we already have an Arctic bag. They're not going to do that. I mean, heck, there's still people waiting for the Arctic bag that they had like on layaway or whatever from Big Bad Toy Store and other places. The Snow Serpent, it's not going to happen. We have the retro carded one. We also have the deluxe figure, so that's not going to happen. Now, Snow Job, this is a deluxe figure. A lot of people want to get him still because he's one of the better characters. So that might be like a repaint, but if you're going to do a repaint of Snow Job, that's actually a character they have Whiteout. You could just do Whiteout, which is the whole thing, which I'll talk about later. So probably not another Snow Job. Arctic Storm Shadow, cool figure, but we already have him. Though it would be cool if we had one that had way better articulation, penless, all that fun stuff, because he's so early in the line. So those are things that are already out there. So that's not going to happen. The thing that we know is guaranteed going to happen is Frostbite. Yes, sorry, my Frostbite. I do have his legs. I need to put him back together. But Frostbite will definitely be in there because he is the driver. He's very important for it. With his long rifle with a big scope, you have to have that. That's kind of guaranteed. Now, let's look at the possibilities. Now, remember, Emily said, hey, it's a very chill, Haslab. So I think Wind Chill could be one we might want to look at. Now, if you haven't seen Wind Chill is actually a driver for the Arctic Blast. So it's a Tundra assault vehicle. Cool vehicle, but let's be honest, it's probably not something Hasbro's going to put out. So it might be one of those things we're looking at, hey, this is another figure that came with a vehicle that we're not going to make the vehicle, so we can give it to you that way. I mean, it's kind of like, if you look, it comes with a big rifle. He also comes with skis. Look, we already have the rifle from Snow Job. We got the skis from Snow Job, so we can have that right there. So that's an easy one they can kind of put together. Now, next up, we have Coldfront. And Coldfront, also a driver, and you see a theme here, a driver of a vehicle they're probably not going to come up with, the Avalanche. Now, there's an Avalanche figure I'll talk about later, but since Coldfront isn't actually something they're probably going to make into a classified, it's not super popular, but also the vehicle he comes with is too big, so they're probably not going to make that either. That's why he could make for a good tier. And since Emily did mention cold in the name, so that could be something there. So it's also one that could work. And he also has got red hair. Hey, we got red hair there. Also yellow visor. So what we could do is basically paint like Grunt's helmet white, put a visor from Duke on there, make it yellow, boom. You have that. Nice little variation. Could be something there. Now, next up, we have Sub-Zero. Now, not Sub-Zero from Mortal Kombat. They actually had a figure called Sub-Zero from the 9th kind of series, the 1990 series. And one of the things, if you've got rock and roll, you have the machine gun and the little bipod there that you can have it on. So you have a lot of stuff you already have. So that would be like just reusing stuff there. However, he's not a super popular character. I don't know if that would be really inspiring anybody to get him. Or getting the Haslab. So that one a little bit lower and kind of the possibilities, okay? Now, next up, we have Iceberg. And I know I already said don't think about Iceberg. He's too popular. But, we do have Iceberg version 1 and Iceberg version 2. Maybe you could go with a version 2 because it's like colorful and fun. But I mean, Iceberg, the original Iceberg, is too good of a character, too popular. And again, if I can get a deluxe with the jetpack extra, that'd be awesome, Hasbro. Thank you very much. Otherwise, I'm going to buy a white version of the jetpack to give it for him. So for those of you who remember the old days of YouTube, that's a callback to that. But Iceberg, too popular of a character to put into a tier system. Maybe version 2, but you never know. It's kind of like Crazy Legs. They gave you the Night Force Crazy Legs before you got like a classified Crazy Legs. So maybe that could be it, but I'm going to say probably not on Iceberg. Too popular character, okay? Now, we could also look at another very popular character, Arctic Stalker. Now, Stalker, super cool figure. The Arctic one, where he's got his kayak and everything, super awesome. But again, too popular a figure. I can see this being a deluxe figure a couple years down the road just because it's such a good thing. If the snow theme works, I could see that being packaged as a deluxe figure in 2026, 2027. But again, it'll depend on how the Snowcat goes and how people like the snow theme. Okay, now, another thing you might want to look at, let's maybe look over at Cobra, the Ice Viper. Now, the Ice Viper came with the wolf, the Cobra wolf. You know, probably the second coolest snow thing after this. Sorry, I do regular this. Because for you, it's Snowcat, then it's the wolf. It's too cool of a vehicle. I could see them making that in the future to have something you can fight the Snowcat with. So sadly, I do not think the Ice Viper will make it, but it would be cool. You could they could reuse one of the helmets from the Star Wars, you know, the AT-AT, you know, drivers, the AT-AT drivers, and have that there. He's got some size, so pretty easy to do, but I think it's too popular in terms of the vehicle, not necessarily the figure. So, and also it's Cobra, so I don't think that's going to go there. Now, talking about Avalanche again, but not the Avalanche vehicle, but the Avalanche figure. You could get him. He drove the Dominator, based this big, huge snow vehicle. Again, they're not going to make that vehicle out there, so that is a possibility. You could have that, but not a super popular character. Also, if we get a snow job that can stand up better, that'd be great. But yeah, I don't think Avalanche is going to be one that's going to be on there for an option there for a tier. I mean, it could be for randomness, but he's from Battle Force 2000, and since we've now found out we're doing Ninja Force, I don't think they're going to start into Battle Force 2000 when they start to finish Night Force and Python Patrol and Tiger Force and all those kind of things. So I highly doubt that Avalanche will be on there. Now, for some deep cuts that I think might have a possibility, you have Quinn. And Quinn, I feel, is a deep enough cut that people from the comics will really appreciate it, but not popular enough that people that want to get mainline stuff will be upset that Quinn isn't a figure. Because Quinn was kind of a big deal, you know, in the comic book line, so that could be something that's fun there. You have him in his big winter gear with his necklace, and that necklace needs to come back for Arctic Snake Eyes. I'll talk about that later. But that could be a good one, and that's the one that would kind of fit in that Mickey Mouse Cobra Commander or the Quarrel for Dragonfly in terms of extra kind of stuff there. So that's where I think it would be some, because let's be honest, with the Rattler, they didn't have that deep cut one out there. They just had, you know, Wild Weasel, the extra, you know, Gunman, and then Baroness. I mean, we need something a little bit more. I think Quinn could be a good deep cut one there. And I would not do his army version kind of stuff. I would definitely go with the winter version with the big coat and the necklace. That would be something there. Now, next up, we go with the Blind Woodsman. And the Blind Woodsman was very famous in the cartoon. Helped save, you know, Snake Eyes out there. Could be fun. Super 7 did put one out a couple years ago, and you can still easily get it on Amazon and other places. So I don't think he's popular enough for that, but he would be a deep cut that could work. So that could be something interesting, but it's so different in terms of like feel than, you know, the usual classified. So I don't think that's going to be there, but it could be. Another thing we look at is Whiteout, and Whiteout is the repaint. Basically, you got Snow Job, but you take away the accents and you give him like a brownish, blackish beard, and maybe his head stays on. But you have that, so I don't think we just want another repaint of this. That'd be kind of like, come on, you Hasbro, you could do better than that. Give us maybe a repaint of like Big Ben. That could be something. We could give us an October Guard kind of thing. Because we could go into the whole October Guard because that fits in with the snow stuff. And so like a Big Ben redo could work. So that could be something there as a possibility. And then I think I also want to, the ones that I really don't think are going to be options but are just so cool characters. Blizzard. I mean, Blizzard was probably, after the early, you know, Iceberg Snow Job, this kind of like early stuff there. You know, Blizzard was probably the coolest of the snow figures. You can still get him a lot of places. Very popular figure. Too popular to be a tier. Definitely something that should be a classified like box figure out there, and not a retro card. Like, he's got so much stuff, you're going to want to have, you know, more things, kind of like the Arctic Stalker. You want more stuff with it. So that's why I'm kind of leaning against Blizzard, though I'd love to get him. Also, Arctic Snake Eyes. The 25th anniversary Arctic Snake Eyes. One of the coolest figures they ever came out with, that 25th line. It is awesome. Snake Eyes, got his green pants. I mean, you can a lot of people kit bash him. A lot of people will do customs, but he's got Quinn's necklace of the skulls on here. Just such a cool character. However, Hasbro's mentioned a number of times that they always need to have like a Snake Eyes in the main line every year, because that's an entry-level toy, like entry-level character. And when you have, you know, have a Snake Eyes G.I. Joe game coming, probably you don't want to put it as a tier in there, and this is such a popular figure. People might be like, I've got enough Snake Eyes. You want me to get a tier of Snake Eyes? Yeah, because you know how people are on here. I always try to stay positive, but some people get a little negative out there. So sadly, that Arctic Snake Eyes probably not going to happen. And then there's the kind of Arctic insert old figure. Like, you look at the old Arctic shows, you know, oh, Arctic Scarlet, Arctic Duke, Arctic Quick Kick. with actually jacket, not just quick kick normal, because you already have Arctic quick kick if you have the original classified one. But I'll be honest, they're probably going to have kind of like an army builder figure with a winter gear kind of thing. So you could do that. Either a Scarlet or a Duke. I would probably go with Scarlet because we had the retro card. Scarlet was really good, but she's very popular and known for that Arctic vibe. So that could be something. But I mean, there's a lot more options. Like I said, October Guard, they could just put, winter gear on anybody, retrofit things. Heck, I would really love some new characters that they invented because, they've made some really cool new ones that we didn't have before. Like Wolf Spider, honestly, my favorite figure. Totally new one. Awesome figure. If you can get him, get him. Best figure. Just amazing out there. But if I'm going to be honest, I'm going to look at this as a marketing professor because that's my day job. But looking as a fan as well from Hasbro perspective, what we're probably going to get tier 1, not even tier 1, like when you buy it, Frostbite. Frostbite's going to be in there. You have to have that with the Snowcat. You have that there. Then the next two, these go either ones because Emily could be throwing us up, but based off of Emily's, chill and cold kind of comments, I think Wind Chill because it's a vehicle they're not going to come out with, and Coldfront also another driver they're not going to come out with. And these are things they could repaint some stuff and make it relatively affordable, so kind of a cheaper version of a tier. It could be either one. It could be both. I don't know if they're going to go 3 or 4 tiers, but I think Wind Chill and Coldfront could be there. But then they need to have, something else. And I think the extra, like the 4th tier, will probably be like the Arctic Coat Scarlet or Arctic Duke. Like I would think that way. And if they're only going to choose between Wind Chill and Coldfront, I think maybe then they'll give us a more deep cut one. I think that would be Quinn, which would really be one that would be in there. Because though I would love my Iceberg, God, I would love that Iceberg. If you got a custom Iceberg with a jetpack, let me know. I don't think they'll go for that one. So that's my kind of bet. Frostbite, Wind Chill, Coldfront, and then Winter Coat somebody. And if they only do one of those two, Wind Chill or Coldfront, I'm going to say Quinn will be one of the 4. Now, I don't know which the tier is going to be. I don't know anything. This is my speculation. We have to inspire people to buy, give them something they want, make it worth the money for a Haslab, for a big thing here. And believe me, I think this back part of the Haslab is going to be kind of like the His Tank, where you can put your figures in there so I can have my winter team in there when they go out. And I mean, think about it. If you're going to get 2 classified figures in the front seat like you have here, you're going to have enough space to do that. So what are your bets? What do you think? What are you speculating out there? Because I'm going to guess the next Yojo June talk or video, they're probably going to give us some more ideas, some more clues. So I'm sure this will change, but from what we have so far, that's what I'm betting on. Anyway, let us know. And I'll say bye from here in my lack of snow summer thinking about snow troopers, because I still remember playing in the snow with these guys. Every time it snowed as a kid, this bad boy was out in the snow. This is my Snowcat from when I was a kid. So anyway, talk to you later. Bye. Oh, like and subscribe. Have some positivity on here. I want to make positive videos about toys and G.I. Joe and having fun with it and being an old guy that just loves G.I. Joe. Bye.